The champagne flute shattered against the marble floor of our McMansion's foyer, and my wife Laura stood there with that twisted smile I'd grown to hate, her manicured fingers still gripping the stem. "There are new rules in this house now, Mark," she announced to the room full of party guests, her voice carrying that theatrical tone she used when she wanted maximum attention. "And my husband is going to learn every single one of them." Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I stood there in my own living room, watching 43 people I'd called friends for the better part of a decade, all staring at me like I was some kind of circus act. Laura's birthday party had been going strong for 3 hours, and apparently I'd just become the entertainment. "Is that so?" I asked, setting down my beer and straightening my tie. The room went quiet, except for the jazz playlist Laura had insisted on. Something about sophisticated ambiance for her 38th birthday celebration. Laura's sister Jennifer stepped forward from the crowd, her designer heels clicking against the marble. Jennifer Martinez, the woman who'd made my life a living hell for the past 2 years since she'd moved back to Minneapolis after her 3rd divorce. She had that same predatory smile as Laura, the kind that made my skin crawl. "Mark, honey," Jennifer said, her voice dripping with false sweetness, "Laura's just trying to help you understand that things need to change around here. You've been so resistant to growth." The crowd murmured their agreement. These people, my neighbors, my colleagues from the real estate office, Laura's event planning clients, they were all nodding like Jennifer had just delivered the Sermon on the Mount. "Resistant to growth?" I repeated, tasting the words. "That's interesting, Jennifer. Tell me, what exactly does growth look like in your world?" Sarah Thompson, Laura's best friend since college, stepped up beside Jennifer. Sarah had always been the voice of reason in Laura's circle, or so I'd thought. Tonight, she looked different, harder somehow, like she'd finally picked a side in a war I didn't know I was fighting. "It means being supportive of Laura's career," Sarah said. "It means understanding that she needs space to explore her potential." "Her potential," I said, nodding slowly. "Right. And this exploration? Does it happen mostly on Tuesday and Thursday evenings? Because I've noticed Laura's been doing a lot of growing on those particular nights." The room temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. Laura's face flushed red, but Jennifer stepped forward again, her voice rising. "How dare you imply—" "I'm not implying anything," I cut her off. "I'm stating facts. Laura leaves every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 p.m. sharp. She comes home after midnight smelling like cologne that isn't mine, with her phone turned off and a story about client meetings that somehow never appear on her calendar." The crowd shifted uncomfortably. Tom Bradley, my old college roommate, cleared his throat. "Mark, maybe this isn't the time or place?" "No, Tom, this is exactly the time and place," I said, my voice carrying across the room. "Because apparently my wife has decided to air our dirty laundry in front of everyone we know, so let's air it all." Laura's face went white. "Mark, stop. You're embarrassing yourself." "Am I?" I pulled out my phone and held it up. "Because I've got some pretty interesting photos here from last Thursday night. The Riverside Hotel, room 237. Want me to share them with everyone, or should we keep this between family?" The silence was deafening. Jennifer's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. Sarah took a step back, her eyes wide. "You followed me?" Laura whispered. "I hired a private investigator," I said calmly. "His name is Mike Brennan. Former police detective, very thorough, completely professional. He's been documenting your Tuesday and Thursday growth sessions for the past 6 weeks." Jennifer found her voice first. "You sick bastard. Spying on your own wife." "Learning the truth about my own wife," I corrected. "There's a difference, Jennifer. Though I suppose in your family, the line between truth and fiction has always been a little blurry." "What's that supposed to mean?" Jennifer snapped. "It means I know about the credit cards you've been opening in Laura's name. It means I know about the $50,000 you borrowed from our joint savings account to pay for your last divorce attorney. It means I know exactly what kind of growth you've been encouraging my wife to pursue." The crowd was starting to back away from us now, sensing the conversation had moved beyond uncomfortable party drama into something much darker. But I wasn't finished. "And it means I know about Alex Rodriguez." Laura made a sound like she'd been punched in the stomach. Jennifer's face went from red to pale in the space of a heartbeat. "Alex is Laura's personal trainer," Sarah said quickly, but her voice lacked conviction. "Alex is Laura's lover," I said, my voice steady and clear. "Has been for 4 months. They meet at the Riverside Hotel twice a week, sometimes the Marriott downtown when they are feeling fancy. Alex drives a red Porsche Carrera, license plate Fit Life. He's 29 years old, divorced, no kids, and according to his Instagram account, he's very proud of his relationship with my wife. I swiped through my phone and held up a screenshot. This is from last Tuesday. Laura posted it herself. Tagged location, Riverside Hotel Bar, with the caption, "New rules, new life, new love." 43 likes, including one from you, Jennifer. The room erupted. Voices rose, people started talking over each other, and I could see phones coming out as the gossip mill kicked into overdrive. But I only had eyes for Laura, who was standing there with tears streaming down her face. "I never meant for it to happen this way," she whispered. "No," I said. "You meant for it to happen quietly, in the shadows, while I played the fool and paid the bills. The only thing you didn't plan on was getting caught." Tom Bradley stepped forward, his face flushed with alcohol and righteous indignation. "Mark, I've known you for 20 years, and this isn't you. This is cruel, man. Whatever problems you and Laura have, you work them out in private." "Like she worked out her problems with Alex in private?" I asked. "Tom, tell me something. Did you know?" "Know what?" "Did you know about the affair? Did Susan know? Did any of you know and just decide not to tell me?" The silence that followed was answer enough. I looked around the room, studying faces I'd trusted for years, and saw the truth written in their expressions. They'd all known. Every single one of them had watched me play the fool while my wife screwed her personal trainer. "I see," I said quietly. "Well, that certainly explains a lot about the last few months. The way conversation stopped when I walked into a room, the way people started treating me like I was made of glass. You were all protecting Laura's secret." Susan Bradley, Tom's wife, spoke up for the first time. "Mark, we didn't want to hurt you." "You didn't want to get involved," I corrected. "There's a difference, Susan. Choosing not to hurt someone is an act of kindness. Choosing not to get involved is an act of cowardice." "That's not fair," Tom said, his voice rising. "We're your friends, Mark. We care about you both." "No, Tom, you're Laura's friends. You always have been. I was just the guy who came with the package, the husband who paid for the parties and kept his mouth shut and didn't rock the boat. Well, congratulations. The boat is officially rocked." Jennifer stepped forward again, her face twisted with rage. "You arrogant son of a bitch. You think you can destroy Laura's life because your fragile male ego can't handle the fact that she found someone better?" "Better?" I laughed, and the sound was harsh in the sudden quiet. "Jennifer, Alex Rodriguez makes $35,000 a year teaching middle-aged women how to do squats. He lives in a studio apartment above a Thai restaurant and drives a 10-year-old Porsche with 200,000 miles on it. If that's better, then Laura's standards have fallen considerably." "It's not about money," Laura said, her voice barely audible. "No, it's not," I agreed. "It's about respect. It's about honesty. It's about not lying to someone's face for 4 months while you screw around behind their back. But I guess those are old-fashioned values now." Sarah stepped forward, her jaw set with determination. "Mark, you need to stop this, right now. You're humiliating Laura in front of everyone we know." "I'm telling the truth in front of everyone we know," I said. "If that's humiliating, maybe Laura should have thought about that before she decided to rewrite the rules of our marriage without consulting me." "She tried to talk to you," Jennifer snapped. "She tried to explain that she needed more from life than what you were giving her." "When?" I asked. "When did she try to talk to me, Jennifer? Before or after she started sleeping with Alex?" Because I've been going through our conversations, and I can't seem to find the one where Laura mentioned she wanted an open marriage. I can't find the discussion about exploring other relationships. What I found instead were lies. Hundreds of them. Small ones, big ones, elaborate ones that required planning and coordination with all of you. I looked around the room again, meeting eyes, watching people squirm. You all helped her. Every single one of you participated in making me look like an idiot, so forgive me if I'm not particularly concerned about Laura's feelings right now. Tom took a step forward, his hands clenched into fists. "That's enough, Mark. You've made your point." "Have I?" I asked. "Because I'm just getting started." I pulled out a manila envelope I'd been carrying all evening and opened it slowly, dramatically. "These are divorce papers," I announced. "Filed this morning. Laura will be served officially on Monday, but I thought it would be more appropriate to let her know tonight, in front of all her supporters." Laura's legs gave out, and she sank into one of our expensive leather chairs. "Mark, please, we can work this out." "No, we can't," I said. "Because I don't negotiate with liars, and I don't forgive betrayal. The marriage is over, Laura. Has been since the first time you climbed into bed with Alex." Jennifer was practically vibrating with rage. "You vindictive bastard. Laura gave you the best years of her life." "Laura gave me 8 years of lies," I said, "and apparently she gave Alex the best parts of herself while I got the leftovers." How can you be so cold? Susan asked, tears in her eyes. How can you just throw away 8 years of marriage? I'm not throwing it away, I said. Laura already did that. I'm just cleaning up the mess. The front door opened, and Alex Rodriguez walked in like he owned the place. He was exactly what you'd expect. 6'2", perfectly sculpted, wearing a tight black t-shirt that showed off his gym-built physique. He looked around the room, taking in the tension, and his eyes settled on Laura. Hey, babe, he said, completely oblivious to the situation. Sorry, I'm late. Traffic was murder. The room went silent. Alex looked confused, his eyes moving from Laura to me to the crowd of people staring at him. Did I miss something? He asked. Alex, I said, walking over to him with my hand extended. Mark Thompson, Laura's husband. We've never been formally introduced. Alex's face went white, but he shook my hand automatically. His grip was firm, confident, the handshake of a man who'd never had to worry about consequences. Oh, he said. Hey. Hey yourself, I said, still holding his hand. I was just telling everyone about your relationship with my wife. Fascinating stuff. Really gets the party going. Alex tried to pull his hand away, but I held on, my grip tightening. See, Alex, here's what I find interesting. You've been sleeping with Laura for 4 months, but you never once asked yourself what kind of man her husband might be. You never wondered if maybe, just maybe, he might find out and decide to do something about it. Look, man, I don't want any trouble, Alex said, finally jerking his hand free. Trouble? I laughed. Alex, trouble is what happens when you sleep with another man's wife and think there won't be consequences. What's about to happen to you is much worse than trouble. Are you threatening me? Alex asked, puffing up his chest. I'm educating you, I said. See, you thought you were dealing with some pushover suburban husband who'd just roll over and take it. But here's the thing, Alex. I'm not that guy. I reached into my jacket and pulled out another envelope. These are photos of your apartment, your car, your gym, your mother's house in St. Paul, your ex-wife's place in Bloomington. Very detailed photos, Alex, the kind that show I know exactly where you are at any given moment of any given day. Alex's face went from white to green. You're crazy. I'm thorough, I corrected. There's a difference. Crazy is what you were to think you could screw my wife without consequences. Thorough is what I am when someone crosses me. Laura struggled to her feet, her face streaked with tears and mascara. Mark, stop. Please. This isn't you. This is exactly me, I said, turning to face her. This is who I've always been. You just never bothered to pay attention because you were too busy planning your exit strategy. I wasn't. You were, I cut her off. The credit cards Jennifer helped you open, the money you've been moving into private accounts, the apartment you put a deposit on downtown. I know about all of it, Laura. Every lie, every secret, every plan you made to screw me over. The crowd was backing toward the door now, sensing that the evening had moved well beyond social drama into something dangerous. But I wasn't finished with them yet. Where are you all going? I asked, my voice carrying across the room. The party's just getting started. Tom, Susan, don't you want to hear about how you helped coordinate Laura's alibis? Sarah, wouldn't you like to explain to everyone how you covered for Laura when she was supposed to be at your book club? We were trying to be good friends, Sarah said, her voice shaking. You were being accomplices, I said. Every lie you told for her, every alibi you provided, every time you helped her deceive me, you became part of the betrayal. Tom stepped forward again, his face red with anger and alcohol. That's enough, Mark. You're out of line. Am I? I asked. Tom, tell me, how would you feel if Susan was screwing her yoga instructor twice a week and all your friends knew about it but you? How understanding would you be then? That's different, Tom said, but his voice lacked conviction. No, it's not, I said. It's exactly the same. The only difference is that you all decided I was too weak or too stupid to handle the truth. Well, surprise, I'm neither. I walked to the center of the room and looked around at all the faces staring at me. These people who'd eaten at my table, drank my liquor, enjoyed my hospitality while they helped my wife make a fool of me. Here's how this is going to work, I announced. Laura and Alex are going to leave, tonight, together, and they're not coming back. Jennifer, you're going to pack your bags and find somewhere else to live, because you're no longer welcome in this house. You can't throw me out, Jennifer sputtered. I have rights. You have the right to find a lawyer, I said, because every penny you stole from our accounts is going to be repaid, with interest, or I'm filing charges for theft and fraud. You wouldn't dare, she said, but her voice was shaking. Try me, I said quietly. I've got nothing left to lose, Jennifer. That makes me very dangerous. I turned to face the crowd again. As for the rest of you, You're no longer welcome here, any of you. You made your choice when you decided to help Laura lie to me. Now you get to live with the consequences." "Mark, please," Susan said, tears streaming down her face. "We're your friends." "No," I said. "You were Laura's friends. I was just the guy who paid for everything. But that relationship is now terminated." Alex cleared his throat, trying to salvage some dignity. "Look, Mark, maybe we can work something out. Talk about this like adults." I turned to look at him, and whatever he saw in my face made him take a step backward. "Alex," I said quietly, "you have exactly 60 seconds to get out of my house before I do something we'll both regret. And when you leave, you take Laura with you. Because if I see either of you again, if you come back here for any reason, I will make your lives a living hell." "You can't just—" Laura started. "I can," I said. "I will. And I'll enjoy every minute of it." Alex grabbed Laura's arm. "Come on, babe, let's go." "My things," Laura said weakly, "will be packed and delivered to whatever address you provide my lawyer," I said. "You have 72 hours to arrange pickup. After that, everything goes to charity." Laura looked around the room desperately, seeking support from her friends, but they were all staring at the floor or backing toward the door. The party was over, and everyone knew it. "This isn't finished," Jennifer said, trying to maintain some defiance. "Yes, it is," I said. "Your sister destroyed my marriage, you helped her steal my money, and all of these people helped cover it up. But I'm the one left standing, Jennifer. I'm the one with the lawyers and the evidence and the righteous anger. You want to keep playing this game? Be my guest, but understand that I will win." Jennifer opened her mouth to argue, but Tom grabbed her arm. "Come on, Jen, let's go." The crowd filed out slowly, shamefully, leaving behind empty glasses and broken dreams. Laura lingered by the door, looking back at me with something that might have been regret. "I did love you," she said quietly. "No," I said. "You loved what I provided, the house, the lifestyle, the security. But you never loved me. If you had, you wouldn't have been able to do this." She left without another word, Alex's arm around her shoulders, and I was finally alone in my own house for the first time in months. I walked to the window and watched them all get into their cars and drive away. Laura and Alex in his ridiculous Porsche, Jennifer in her leased BMW, Tom and Susan in their minivan, all the rest in their various vehicles. My former life, driving away into the night. Then I poured myself a scotch and sat down to plan their destruction. The next morning, I called in sick to work and spent the day making phone calls. First to my lawyer, then to my accountant, then to a few other professionals whose services I was going to need. By noon, I had a plan. By evening, I was ready to implement it. The first phase was simple: financial warfare. Laura had been careless with her paper trail, and Jennifer had been even worse. The private accounts, the credit cards, the forged signatures on loan documents, it was all there, documented and ready for legal action. I filed charges on Monday morning: theft, fraud, forgery, identity theft, a whole buffet of felonies that would keep both of them busy with lawyers for the next year. The second phase was social destruction. I had photos, videos, text messages, emails, a complete record of Laura's affair and the conspiracy to cover it up. I started with social media, posting a carefully crafted statement about the end of my marriage and the betrayal by people I'd trusted. The response was immediate and brutal. Laura's event planning business began losing clients within hours. Alex's gym started getting negative reviews. Jennifer's real estate license came under investigation. But I wasn't finished. Phase 3 was personal. I hired a team of private investigators to dig into every aspect of their lives. Alex's steroid use, his unpaid taxes, his history of sleeping with married clients. Laura's business practices, her undeclared income, her pattern of lies and manipulation, Jennifer's financial history, her 3 failed marriages, her drinking problem. Within a week, I had enough dirt to bury all 3 of them. Alex lost his job at the gym when photos surfaced of him shooting up steroids in the locker room. Laura's business collapsed when clients learned about her affair and her financial irregularities. Jennifer's real estate career ended when the state board revoked her license for ethical violations. But I still wasn't finished. The final phase was the most satisfying: public humiliation. I organized a press conference ostensibly to discuss domestic violence awareness, but really to tell my story to the local media. The photos, the evidence, the betrayal, all of it laid out for public consumption. Laura tried to fight back, hiring a PR firm to spin her side of the story. But the evidence was overwhelming, and public sympathy was firmly on my side. The wronged husband, the faithful spouse betrayed by his wife and abandoned by his friends. Alex tried to leave town, but I had investigators watching his every move, Every job application, every apartment rental, every attempt to start over. I made sure his new associates knew exactly who they were dealing with. Jennifer declared bankruptcy and moved in with her elderly mother, her career and reputation in ruins. The friends who had betrayed me found themselves ostracized from the social circles we'd all once shared. Tom and Susan's marriage collapsed under the strain of their guilt and the social fallout. Sarah lost her job when her employer learned about her role in the deception. One by one, they all fell. And through it all, I felt nothing but cold satisfaction. 6 months after Laura's birthday party, I was sitting in my lawyer's office, signing the final divorce papers. Laura sat across from me, looking 20 years older, her face gaunt and her eyes hollow. "Are you happy now?" she asked quietly. "I'm satisfied," I said. "There's a difference." "I never meant to hurt you," she said. "You meant to use me," I corrected. "You meant to have your cake and eat it too. You meant to keep me around to pay the bills while you screwed around with Alex. The only thing you didn't mean was to get caught." "What happens now?" she asked. "Now you live with the consequences of your choices," I said. "You wanted new rules, Laura. Well, congratulations. You got them." I signed the papers and stood up to leave. At the door, I turned back to look at her one last time. "For what it's worth," I said, "I really did love you, but love has limits, and you found mine." I walked out of that office and into my new life. A life without lies, without betrayal, without people who pretended to be friends while stabbing me in the back. It was a good life. A year later, I was living in a new house in a new neighborhood, with new friends who didn't know my history. Laura was working as a waitress in a diner across town, her dreams of event planning success long gone. Alex had moved back in with his mother and was working at a discount gym for minimum wage. Jennifer was selling insurance door to door and living in a studio apartment. The friends who had betrayed me were scattered to the winds, their own lives destroyed by the fallout from their choices. Tom was living in a one-bedroom apartment, paying alimony to Susan and working 2 jobs to make ends meet. Sarah had moved back to her hometown in Iowa, her career and reputation in ruins. They had all learned the same lesson, that actions have consequences and betrayal comes with a price. I never regretted what I did to them, not for a single moment. Because sometimes, when someone breaks the rules, you have to break them back. And sometimes, you have to break them so completely that they can never hurt anyone else the same way again. That's the new rule I learned. The only rule that really matters. When someone destroys your life, you destroy theirs first. And you make sure they never forget it.